USA Today analysis of the media outlet's material finds that it conducted interviews with well-known Republicans, including the daughter-in-law of former President Donald Trump, one of Trump's attorneys, and a member of Congress. The outlet is now accused of being involved in a Russian election meddling scheme. Republican National Committee co-chair Lara Trump, who is married to Donald Trump's son, Eric. Reporter Brian Mast of Florida, seasoned Trump attorney Harmeet Dhillon, and former Trump advisor Kash Patel were among the guests on Tenet Media's podcast, which were streamed on websites like YouTube. Other prominent figures who have been on Tenet Media and supported Trump include Republican Kari Lake of Arizona, who is running for the U.S. Senate, Vivek Ramaswamy, a previous Republican presidential candidate, and Tulsi Gabbard, former Democratic congresswoman from Hawaii, who just embraced Trump. By Thursday night, a number of the videos had been removed and were replaced with a YouTube notification stating that the related account had been canceled. Few days before leaving his position as Project 2025's leader, Paul Dans was also featured on a Tenet Media podcast. Register to cast a vote. Send a text message to the USA Today election staff. For USA Today, none of the attendees or their agents offered commentary. Cordial interviews, divisive speech, Republican talking themes were frequently emphasized in the interview. Mast, an Afghanistan veteran, attacked Democratic contender for vice president, Governor of Minnesota Tim Walz, for his military service, accusing him of deserting his troops in his National Guard unit prior to their deployment to Iraq. The episode's title was Tim A. Walz Cannot Be VP. Walz resigned to run for Congress 2 months prior to his unit receiving an alert order to deploy to war. He had filed his retirement papers 5 months prior to the order. Another incident occurred 3 weeks before Walz was implicated in a nonprofit fraud operation that preyed on Minnesota's pandemic relief funding during his tenure as governor. As a result, the House Republicans subpoenaed Walz. When Lara Trump appeared on presenter Benny Johnson's show, a far-right media personality who is marketed as a talent, Tenet Media, he said, "We're big-time Lara Trump." Shortly after Johnson assumed leadership of the National Party, Trump discussed with her his plans to replace a significant number of RNC staff members with Trump supporters. She noted, "We truly do bring in a nice bunch of individuals, but you're never going to get rid of all the rotten apples." Tenet Media paid $100,000 for each episode. On Johnson's broadcast, Lara Trump, Mast, Dhillon, Lake, Patel, Ramaswamy, and Gabbard made appearances. On Wednesday, he claimed to be a victim of the Department of Justice, unregistered foreign agents for Russia, founded Tenet Media in order to influence the 2024 election, and some of its commentators were paid up to $100,000 per episode. However, the Department of Justice does not mention the firm by name in the charge file. The plan was to fabricate a biography of Eduard Gregorian, a fictitious private investor, and present that persona as the source of funding for the purported news outlet. The material in the indictment is consistent with Tenet Media's mission statement, as stated on their website and in their company record with the Tennessee Secretary of State. Johnson said on X, then known as Twitter, "A year ago, a media startup pitched my company to provide content as an independent contractor. After typical arm's-length negotiations, our attorneys called off the agreement." Claims in today's indictment, which clearly show that I and other influencers were the victims of this purported scam, worry us. COVID Scam podcast host Matt Christensen said on X, "I would never agree to anything otherwise, and at no point has anyone ever directed me what to say or not to say." Russians claim that Republicans share their views. The Russian government clearly favors the Republican Party and would prefer that Trump be re-elected over Democratic Vice President Kamala Harris, according to propaganda proposals. the Department of Justice shared on Wednesday in a case involving Russian interference. However, the department did not identify the beneficiary of the Russian disinformation plot. In one instance, the Russians created hundreds of internet domain names that the U.S. government registered, making them seem to be authentic news sources. Additionally, the Russian materials suggested distributing information to citizens of conservative states, swing states, Hispanic and Jewish Americans, as well as users of Reddit and 4chan. Trump has openly praised Vladimir Putin, the despot from Russia who is infamous for murdering and imprisoning his opponents. The U.S. intelligence community discovered that Russia meddled in the 2016 election in favor of Trump. Nevertheless, a special counsel inquiry failed to uncover any proof of a conspiracy involving the Trump campaign. While Democrats have taken the lead in supporting Ukraine's military efforts to repel Russia's invasion, financing for these efforts has come under fire. Right-wing Republicans like Senator J.D. Vance of Ohio, Trump's running mate, and others. Additionally, Trump has said that he would let Russia treat American partners in Europe who don't invest enough in military whatever the hell they want. Russian papers said, while U.S. political party B are still in power, they are trying to maintain the current foreign policy priority. It appeared that in their redaction, the DOJ was referring to the Democrats as Party B. These priorities have been criticized by U.S. political party A, which is still in opposition. Party A was described in the Russian materials as regular people whose priority is to protect the traditions of the American way of life, while Party B was described as left-wing and far-left globalists who advocate for perversion of traditional moral and religious values. The U.S. political party A is currently advancing a relatively pro-Russian agenda, according to another document.